Hi, everybody. This is Terri Stengel here today again with Mental Arts with John Worthington. And today I thought I would ask John a few questions about his views about relationships. And I remember one of the early things that you talked to me about at one of the classes I went to is that you said how a relationship can form like that fast.
It does.
And,
Yeah.
and that was kind of a new concept. But then later on, you also started talking to me about how there was a lot involved in an actual relationship, and many of the connections or interactions I had with people really, in your mind or how you see it, don't rise to the level of relationships. So maybe I don't know where you want to start in on that, but
okay. Well, both things are true, can be true at the same time. Okay, I mean
okay.
that's a possibility, or it's a probability actually. Well, let's start with what a relationship actually is. Okay, a relationship is what goes on between two people. Okay, and a relationship requires an exchange of information, and an exchange of information at the level of a metaprogramming entity. Okay, so that kind of defines
Oh,
the
yeah.
concept
Okay, there's a lot
on a
right in
number
that
of
statement.
levels.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot just in that.
yeah. Okay, so to begin with, if it's a communication, that means that there's information flowing in both directions. Okay, and then between metaprogramming entities is not just like, well, that means that it's at least at the level of an emotional bond of some sort, or emotional exchange of some sort.
Okay.
One would hope that it could be deeper, that could be at a self-metaprogramming level at the very least, but that doesn't always occur. In fact, it doesn't always occur that it's an exchange of information between metaprogramming entities, which would be just at the emotional level. In crude thought, speak, I guess, or in common speech. Okay.
Okay.
So that kind of defines what a relationship is. And so how long does it take to form a relationship? Not long at all. It's like, hi, how are you? Well, I'm fine. What are you doing? Well, I'm over here trying to solve this problem. Well, hell, I solved that problem once upon a time. Okay, we got a relationship now. It just takes a few moments to actually get there, because that harmony is there. I mean, you play music enough so that you know that you can sit down with somebody that you really don't know, and you can hear the rhythm that they're going to play, and you can say, okay, well, yeah, I can do that. What? Stand back, watch me. Give me some room to
Yeah.
operate here. I'm going to
Yeah.
shake my tail feathers and do this.
Right,
Okay,
but you
good.
have to listen to what the other person's doing and saying with
Yeah,
their
but
music.
it doesn't take long to hear it, though, does it?
No. Absolutely. It's like in the moment right
Okay,
now. Yeah.
right. That's true for non-percussion musicians as well. Okay,
Okay.
is
Right.
that they can hear a chord progression and say, okay, I can play from there. I know what that progression is. I know where the changes are going to be, and so forth.
Right.
Well, that's just pretty much the same kind of thing that we do in a relationship, human of any variety, is that we listen to the patterns and the chord changes and so forth, and we make those adjustments with the people. Now, the thing is that from my perspective, how I think about a relationship, I actually think about a relationship in terms of using the notes on the agreement scale. Okay, if I could use that term. In other words,
Okay.
a musical scale goes do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay, it has those 8 notes, right? And the is a repeat or a harmonic equivalent of the first note. Okay, so you have 7 notes in the scale, and you have a completing note, which is an octave higher or an octave lower, as the case may be. But it's an octave between those two. Or there's actually that's going to be the 8th note. Well, the same kind of thing I think is true in interhuman relationships, and I think that there are. Well, I think that there are musical notes of the spirit, so to speak. Okay, whatever the hell the spirit is, I'm not sure I can define that exactly. but it's a part of us that says, okay, we're alive, because without it, we're not alive anymore. Okay,
Right.
when people die, that spirit's no longer there. They're just the body, and that we dispose of that. So the thing is that there is a spiritual aspect to life itself. And so because of that, I think that we could say that to live life, or to express life, that we need to be able to hit those notes as appropriate. If that, I don't know if that makes
Okay.
much sense.
So are you okay? Well, what I thought of, and I don't know if this is what you meant, but what the picture that came was, if you're not able to sing those notes, as it were, then a big chunk of life is not being expressed, or not being
Right. Or if
experienced.
you sing, or if you sing them out of key, or if you're looking for where the melody is, for instance. I mean, you hear singers, everyone say, "I'm dreaming of a Christmas somewhere, maybe," and it's like you think, okay, what the hell are you trying to sing or say? And it's like, right away that they don't know that song, right? I mean, it only takes a moment or two, and The same thing is true when we listen to people trying to pick agreements. You can hear that sour note. You can hear when it's not in the right key. You can hear when there are more than 3 chords, for instance. Okay, you can hear when there are only 2. You can hear where they're just playing the same chord over and over again, and it's an open. They're not really putting their fingers on anything. It's just. It's not really,
and some people are still tuning the instrument hour after hour. Yes.
Yeah. There we go. And it's like, I'll be able to play as soon as I get the tuning proper. That's great. Do you know a scale? No, I don't know scales. I just tune it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So earlier you said that not everybody has a relationship in which they're talking self-meta-programmer to self-meta-programmer. Why not?
No.
What's the hang up?
Because they're not interested in that. They're hiding it. There are people who are embarrassed about who they are. Actually, it could be ethnic, it could be race, it could be language, it could be all kinds of things about why, because they're gay or they're not gay, or because they're straight, or because they have a fetish, or God Almighty, there's all these things that people do, and it's like, well, they do it. What can I tell you? They're not good things or bad things. It's just people being peoples, and so, but they get embarrassed about being whatever melts their butter, and so because of that, they can't really express at that level, because if they were to express that level, they'd have to say what's really there, and well, they're embarrassed about that.
And I think sometimes there's
that's pretty common with people.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm from the Midwest, and I know sort of culturally there is sort of this thing that whatever else happens, you got to be nice, and so there's a lot. Well, at least it seemed that way to me as growing up, but that was the rule. But but it was
tell me what nice. Okay, can you explain nice to me? Can you define nice? Here in Vallarta, the girls sometimes say that something is muy nice, and it's like, what language are you speaking again? But that's what they talk about, something being muy nice. Okay, and so can you explain muy nice to me, because I can't understand it when they say it either.
I understood it as being nice was not to make the other person uncomfortable. Was to try to figure out, oh gee, you don't want to make anybody else upset.
Okay, here let's check this out. Okay, Bubba, after you go out to the outhouse, you're supposed to use the Sears and Roebuck catalog to wipe your arse, because if you don't, you stink to high heaven when you get back in the kitchen. We don't want to smell that when we're eating dinner. Now, is that going to embarrass Bubba? I don't really give a damn. Bubba. clean up.
You want to enjoy
okay?
your dinner without the odor, right? Okay.
Maybe even without Bubba. You know, if he gets mad and runs back off down, have to keep on looking at the Sears and Roebuck, I'm good. You know,
Okay.
he can come back and eat later, but bring the Sears and Roebuck with you so you have something to sit on there, Bubba. You know,
Okay. All right. So yeah, nice. Nice sometimes actually is might be embarrassing for a couple seconds. That's true. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
It's nice.
It can also be something that somebody's doing that's dangerous. You know, they're going to be unhappy with you telling them. If somebody driving too fast, you say, you know, hey, look, you know, I'm in the car here. I don't want you driving that fast because I value my own life. Well, you can just get out and walk then. Well, if you can't slow down to at least, you know, somewhere close to speed limit, maybe at best.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because what you're going to do is you're going to have an accident. And you know, I'm over here on this side, and I might not make it. You know, so I'd rather get out and you go and have that accident all by your own self. I don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to have one, best you have it
Okay.
alone, not with me. Okay, I mean, you know, is he going to be mad about it? Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a lot of times if like in a husband and wife thing, if you tell the guy, you know, you're really being overbearing with your old lady there, oftentimes he's going to be really upset because he doesn't think he is, and he doesn't think it's your business to tell him, even though he's being an ass with his old lady, and she's suffering with it, and you're trying to protect her suffering. But you're going, I'm fighting words. You better know where you are and how to stand there if you're gonna walk into that stuff, you know.
Okay. But that's what. But you're right.
It's worse than trying to tell somebody at a school board meeting that masks are really good for you.
Yeah, it's right in the same thing. But in both cases, what I mean from the context here, you're saying, you know, when you're honest with somebody, that's an invitation for a relationship. Look, I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think or what. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. The adage is that a friend is somebody who tells you where you're fucking up. Because they're the one that knows you well enough to know how to tell you that.
Yeah.
You know, and somebody who can tell you something that is, shall we say, a hole in your bucket, as it were. That kind of person, wherever that person is that's the actual friend. Even if you get mad at them, don't be mad at that kind of person, even though they're telling you the truth, because that person's actually helping you out in places that ain't nobody else going to help you out. Everybody else is going to say, "Oh yeah, okay, well, that's her."
Whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Good for you. All right. Okay, we'll see you next week. How's that? Okay. Bye.
Okay. So
that's how we act with people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I certainly think that's been true in my life, that I kind of, in retrospect, realized people kind of got along and just put up with certain things. And so it came as a bit of a shock when somebody had, you know, the leaned in enough to the relationship to say, wait a minute, you're doing this thing all the time, you know, and when I wasn't even aware.
Yeah, we're seeing that in all kinds of places these days. Okay. I mean, there those intensive care nurses that are saying things like, "This guy's still arguing with me as I put him on a ventilator that he doesn't really have COVID." Okay, what?
Yeah.
Or somebody that's saying, you know, Trump really didn't lose the election. You know, I don't care whether, you know, Biden won the election, so, you know, I guess that meant that Trump lost it. And so why are you pissed off about that? Because your boy didn't win? Well, okay, well, I see, but how's that working for you there? Is that working pretty good? Well, you're going to be mad and fight with everybody about it, even though that there's no chance at all of you realizing your fantasy here. Why not get along with the world rather than fight with the world about what? You know, if Do you have one of these little things on your arm that shows where you got a little polio shot once upon a time? Oh, you do take vaccines in, huh? Okay. Do you have mumps or measles or anything like that? You don't have that anymore? Okay. Why is that? Because you took a vaccine. If you go into other countries, do you get diphtheria? You don't. Did you get a vaccine on that? I see. But COVID, which has killed 700,000 people, you're not going to get a vaccine for because somebody's going to take away your right to kill yourself. Well, excuse me all to hell, but all right, if that's what you're going to do, that's what you're going to do. Where's the relationship?
Well,
what is it? What harmony can you sing? I mean, so you're a 3-year-old saying you don't want to go to the doctor. Oh, well, good for you. Aren't you a big boy? I tell you what, you go to the doctor and you're going to get a lollipop. How's that? We're going to give you a big old Tootsie Roll lollipop so that you can suck it. Come on. I mean, don't tell me that that's a smart move. It's not. It's a stupid thing, and people need to understand that it's stupid. Now, it's not because I think that they're stupid. It's because they got caught on something and they got interlocked with something and they didn't see where they got interlocked with it. And it's like that goofy thing is taking over their life because they're interlocked with it and they can't step back far enough to see it in the light of day. It doesn't mean that they're bad. I mean, I feel bad for those people. I don't think they're, it's not like I don't like to poke fun at them. I mean, what they do is goofy as having a pet snake, but it's not that they're goofy people. They're good people. It's that come on, deal with what's actually real. I mean, deal with what's real for you already. I mean, look over there, look in the mirror. You got a little round spot right there. That's where you got a polio vaccine, and you got that, and it saved you from getting an iron lung when you were a young person. It saved you from getting something wrong with your thumb so you can never again pick up a glass. It saved you from having a bum knee that you can't walk anywhere without having metal on your legs somehow or the other. Now, all those things were really common there for a while when polio was running rampant through the population. But now we got those little round spots on our arm. It doesn't happen so much no more. In fact, it doesn't happen at all.
So in that example, here we have the person, the anti-vax person, they think, oh, I'm expressing how I really feel and I'm being really honest about that. But there's no exchange of information going on.
Right. I mean, look at go to those school board, listen to those school board meetings going on. And it's like, what exchange of information? You boys and girls are just yelling over there about that you don't want to do this. I'm sorry, but y'all sound like you 3 years old and in the middle of a supermarket aisle, sitting down there screaming and yelling, kicking your feet that you want some Captain Crunch rather than cornflakes from your mommy. Come on, you're bigger than that already. Here, cut that out. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how well justified this thing is. I don't care how many of your buddies are telling you this kind of silly ass shit. It's still silly ass shit. Now, you can deal with the reality of it if you're big enough, can't you? And if you can't, well, why not? Are you really that not big enough? And you got white hair? Really? How did that happen? What happened to you that you missed that?
Yeah, the Benjamin Button effect.
There you go. Wow, that's amazing.
Okay, so again, earlier
about you.
So earlier you were saying that one of the things you look at is whether in a relationship is this ability to play those notes of the soul, and because they relate to agreement and so forth. And so, like, what are those notes?
Okay, in common language, they would be called being at one or be one or a oneness type of idea. There's a harmony idea. There is a communication or accomplishment through a communication idea. There is something that you do specifically as an idea. There is something that you use as your natural thinking ability as an idea. There's empathy for other people, which is an idea, and there's an intuition about things and people around you, which is an idea. and all those put together make what we call an agreement or a real thing. And so it's like, look, there are only 7 notes in any scale. Okay, that's it. That's all you got. But you know what? You can write all the music in the entire world within the damn 7 notes. And there's classical music, and there's rock and roll music, and there's country music, and there's jazz music, and there's African music, and there's Indian music, and there's Chinese or Oriental music, but they all use those same notes pretty much. I mean, there's some variations on the theme, but not much. It all kind of has to fit within that range, or it doesn't work, because it keys off the center of what the sound waves we can hear are, which is more or less middle C. Like our perception of color starts with green, because it's in the middle of the color spectrum,
Right.
or the white light spectrum, I should say. So finding those colors or those differences, it's like in color, there's also those same notes, right? I mean, those notes show up over and over and over in our life. We just don't call them that all the time, but that doesn't mean that they're not there. And it's like with musical notes. Do you have to understand it music theory in order to sing a Mary Had a Little Lamb? Not really. You don't need to.
Well, it must be, because in all kinds of relationships out there, people do make things real together, but that doesn't mean that they're always at one or always in harmony, or but they make things real.
Okay, but there are certain aspects of where they are always that. In other words, within that relationship, yes, they are. Okay, that's why I can say that people aren't bad about things. They're not being crappy. They're doing the best that they know how to do. They just, if they had some other measurements, perhaps they could do things differently. I mean, that's possible.
All right.
It's
so
true, they could.
Yes. All right. In a couple of our earlier conversations, I think we talked a little bit about B1 and harmony, and I can see how those things in a relationship, like, if you're going to actually be honest with someone, if you're going to show them who you are, give them information that's real, based on who and what you are, you have to be one thing.
Slow down. Give them information that's real. There's another type.
Oh, that's right. That's how you define it. Okay, yeah. No. All right.
Okay, so see that kind of shows a level of understanding here, right?
You're right, because I use that word not. Well,
it wasn't something that was all inclusive for you, right? It was information can be real, it can be unreal, it can
be fake news.
Nothing knows. It's an opinion. That's all. It's not what I believe is real. It's not what actually is real. It's what I believe is real. And so, I like Santa Claus a lot. Yeah, Santa Claus is
all right.
real.
So okay. So another. All right. So, all right. Yeah, you got me there. But but. You can't be exchanging information if it isn't based on something real, or if it isn't self-real.
Well, that's the reason why that you go to somebody to visit with, and that's the reason why you have the relationship with that person, because you can trust their information as being real information. Okay, you can believe that what they're going to tell you, what they're going to talk to you about is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Or it's real stuff that they're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you want to really have that type of relationship with people, because that way you learn the best way you can. You can rely on what they say. You don't have to go check to see. In other words, that kind of person, they say it's raining outside. You don't need to put your hand out or stick your head out the door to see. You can say, oh, that person said it was raining, so it's raining.
Okay. All right. Okay, well then this is making sense then about why a lot of people, even though they're interacting with someone, you can't really say there's a relationship if they're hiding or if they're sugarcoating or um,
Okay, here let's look at a couple. Okay, so
okay.
you have a favorite convenience store close to where you go into every now and then, right?
Hmm.
A 7-Eleven or AM PM or
Yeah.
Sheets or whatever it is that surrounds you, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Where you go in and you get milk, you can get candy bars, you can get a Coke, you can get something that you got to have right now. They got it, okay, whatever that
Yeah.
is, okay. And so you
Okay.
go in there often enough so that the people will know that you're a regular customer,
Okay. Yeah.
okay. And you say, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm fine. How you been? Haven't seen you in a while. Now, is that a relationship? That's a relationship. Are you exchanging information? Not really. You're being nice to each other. You're saying, "Hello, how you doing?" Yeah, I
Yeah.
came back. I'm going to buy
You're
something else from you.
acknowledging
Yeah,
the
I'm glad you're
presence. Yeah.
here. Yeah,
Yeah.
I am really glad you're here, Mr. or Mrs. Patel. That's great.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, okay. Look, that's what it's
We.
great. It's a good thing. Okay.
Hmm.
However, it is not a relationship. They're not going to come up to you and say, I want to tell you, my daughter is a marrying age and your son is marrying age. I want to marry your daughter and my son. They're not going to come talk with you about that shit. That's not going to happen. Okay.
Yeah.
They're going to say, hi, how you doing? They're going to send you on your merry way. They're going to say, here, that'll be $1.95 and here's your nickel change. Now get out of here. That's what they're going to do. Okay. At which they should do, because it's not a relationship. It's an acquaintance. A relationship, however, is something else. That's somebody that you're going to sit down and say, Dad, Mom, sweetness and light, significant other person. Look, best friend, whatever you want to, however you want to divide this up. Look, I, I've been thinking about this thing and it's bothering me. Well, I've been watching you think about it and so forth, but I wish that you didn't have to worry with it, but I know that you do. But here, let me point at something. Maybe this will help you out with it a little bit. See, that's a
That's
different
really
thing.
good.
Or,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
yeah, Dad, I'm thinking about changing jobs. Yeah, well, changing jobs sometimes can be good. Have you thought about these parts here? Yeah, I did actually. Well, you're going
Okay.
to do what you got to
Well,
do. That's
yeah.
a
Well, that makes
relationship, see?
okay, and that makes sense because to me, because I'm thinking about who are the people I've sought out at different times in my life.
Hmm.
A few, yes, and I certainly sought you out at times like that because you lay it out whether I want to hear it or not, and it's like,
Well, it
oh,
doesn't
that's
cost
just that.
anymore.
Well, but it doesn't happen that often, and so
Oh, that's too
that's
bad, isn't
I well, yeah, well, maybe it's just me, but but
it?
so
Maybe. I don't
maybe
think so, but okay.
yeah, but
I don't think it's just
that's
you,
what
but
that's what catches your attention. I think it does catch people's attention when you say something that they haven't heard, or it's like, wow, there's something there's some meat there.
there certainly is.
or at least potatoes.
Well, I don't know about the potatoes, but there's meat there, that's for sure. Okay.
All right.
All right. Yes, but I think what you're really trying to say here is that there are certain people that know you well enough, or that you share experiences with at a depth where their observations about your life or about your actions and so forth have a great deal of value simply because they know what those actions or those things are about. It could be a
Yeah.
sister-in-law, it could be a sister, it could be a
Yeah.
brother, it could be there's lots of people in our lives that actually know us at that level, and there are a lot of people in our lives that think they know us at that level, and so on. Okay, there's all these variations on the theme, right?
Hmm.
And so that doesn't mean that's not a good or a bad. It's how they're all people. I understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could
Yeah.
be they're not, but I think maybe they are.
You- okay. Yeah, so that gives me a sense of like of what this relationship thing looks like more, and when you can have those kind of when there really is the back and forth on that, or
Well,
both in
it
terms of what
depends.
it looks like when it's. Mhm.
Okay, look, there are relationships that rely on your truthfulness. Okay, for instance, for Moshe, as an example. Okay, when he writes something up and he reports it, people around the world rely on his accuracy and on his observational skills to have to say this is a real thing, this is a true thing, this is here's my research, here's how I know how I know.
Exactly.
Now, I think that's what a relationship actually is. Now, it's not that necessarily that formally scientific, but it is too in lots of ways. Okay, it may not have to deal with something as exacting as what Moshe deals with, but it has to be that accurate. And so when you're talking about just relationships in general, okay, a boy meeting a girl, what is that? Everybody can see where they're going to have trouble or where they're going to get along and so forth, right? Or where everybody thinks, well, she's kind of fooling him a little bit, or he's kind of fooling her a little bit. We can all see that stuff, see, but they can't because they're enmeshed in that. That's what they're looking at the world with, so they can't really see that thing. And so you've got to listen to yourself a lot when you're in these relationships. Are you doing what you have to do? I mean, I think that's an important thing because in that relationship, a lot of times you want to make the other person happy, and you do. I mean, that's part of the exchange is that you want to offer succor and support to that other person. But at the same time, if that's not a two-way street, if that's not an exchange of information, then there can't be much of a relationship there, unfortunately. And it doesn't make any difference whether one person is willing to deal with all of it but can't. Okay, the other person's not willing to deal with it, who could but just not willing to. There's still no relationship. It doesn't make any difference what the variation on that theme is. It's just like, okay, it's either all there or just it's lacking enough so that it doesn't qualify. Maybe it's like filling out a form on the internet. If you don't fill it all out, it's got those little red things that come up and they say, hey, you want to get on my site, fill it all out. Then I don't want that's the reason why it's going flash, 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 flash. You didn't do it right. And I look at that and I say, oh, damn, I didn't do it right again. Ugh. So I go back and I try to do it right. And it's usually something I didn't repeat properly, right?
Right. Okay. Well, so I mean, when I look at that, I think that there are a lot of I say interactions between people that have some room for growth, shall we say? That they're not all the notes singing.
Okay, be careful with that. Maybe it's just understanding.
Understanding what's
all right,
going on.
Here. Okay. Look, you play piano too, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So a major scale is always going to be one's going to be major, two is going to be minor, three is going to be minor, four is going to be major, five is going to be major, and six is going to be minor, and seven is going to be a seventh. Who knew? Or diminished, right? Okay. Now, that's always the case, but that doesn't mean that that on the notes that it always looks that way. Sometimes those spaces are wider and narrower than what they are in other scales. Even though that same relationship is true for every scale, okay, every major scale, let's say. Okay, but when you play a G flat scale, that's going to be a completely different animal in terms of what you hit and where you hit it than a C scale.
Okay, so are you making kind of an analogy that there are certain things that we see in all kinds of relationships, but where and how they hit those notes, and that it's going to vary
Well,
from.
it's kind of like this. There are people who claim to be musicians who can play the C scale,
Mhm.
and if you say, okay, but this saxophone is in E flat, they're going to say that's nice. They're not going to play with you. Okay,
Right,
because they don't
they
know how
can't
to play
transpose. Yeah, they don't know how to transpose it. Yeah.
That's right, because they're used to playing in the C scale. Okay, so when you give them a variety or a wider choice, they can't really get there. They just can't get there from here, is how you say it, right? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. At least in Maine. Yeah,
There you go. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so but see, that's what I'm trying to say about a relationship. It's like, it isn't necessarily that people aren't willing to play along. It's that they sometimes have habits of they've only learned that one scale. And you come along and you say, well, this instrument I play is the saxophone
Okay.
or
Yeah, yeah.
an
I can
ambient
get that.
flute.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I've seen
It's
that
in
both in
the
myself and other people that like we think that this is what I should do. We have a little script.
yeah,
This is what I
yeah.
should do, or this is what a good girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, mother, or whatever it is supposed to do.
Uh-huh.
And without even really checking or thinking, well, maybe there's other things, or maybe this has unintended consequences, or maybe so. Um, uh, but
Well, let's say that they don't personalize that set of rules.
mhm,
Okay,
mhm,
they don't sew it up so it fits them.
mhm.
Okay, in other words, look, I mean,
Yeah.
you're a girl,
Okay.
and so you have to understand this. I mean, you can go into a store and you can buy a dress. It fits you on the top, but not on the bottom,
Mhm,
or it fits you on the
mhm.
bottom, it doesn't fit you on the top. And to
Yep.
find a dress that fits you at the top and the bottom is like an act of God, okay, or an act of a really good tailor, or a good seamstress or something, right? Because you have to adjust sometimes that store-bought fit or that preconceived notion so that it fits you. Okay, that's the personalization I'm talking about here. Okay, is that, yeah, a relationship is, generally speaking, it has sleeves, has buttons, has a little collar on it up here. It kind of runs down to around your knees someplace. It covers up your butt and your hoo ha and so forth, and so you look nice, and nobody stares too much. It shows enough cleavage that they're interested, but not so much that you're embarrassed. All those kinds of things have got to be going on. I can't hear you. You've disappeared on me here.
There I am. Okay.
Yeah, there you are. Yeah. Okay.
I
So,
can hear
so
you through all that. But yes, I understand the dressing thing. It's a delicate balance getting all that stuff. Yeah.
okay. But here's the thing: you can buy something like that off the shelf, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's yours or that it fits you, or that
Right. Need to be.
it's something that really looks good on you, or that even that you're comfortable in.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay, and so that's the same kind of thing when you have a bunch of preconceived notions or rules or preset rules. I don't know how you say that really, but when you have a bunch of I'm never going to do this. I'm only going to do that kinds of
Right.
things in place,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Yeah, that's too
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
You'd had a good time if you'd done that, but you didn't. So now what can I tell
Yeah.
you?
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah. That makes some sense on that. So. All right. Well, I think that's a good start to some of this relationship discussion. I think, I mean, we may revisit it here and there along the way.
Okay.
It seems, man, I mean, it seems like anytime you're talking about interacting with people, all these factors come into play. And
Yeah,
a
that's
lot of these,
true. Because
yeah,
okay, look, you have. That's how we make things real. You know, can one person build a bridge? Yeah, but
Yeah, really
why?
slowly. Yeah. And
What
out of
reason do you have?
what?
Yeah, why do you
Yeah.
need a bridge? You know, you're not. You know, there ain't nobody on the other side that's going to talk to you.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay. However, if there's somebody else over on the other side, and you want to have an exchange of information or goods or whatever kind of information you want to exchange, then having a bridge is a wonderful thing, right?
Mhm.
Well, a bridge is also a harmonic device, is it not? It's a
Yeah,
communication device. It's a way to
right. It allows, yeah, bring it, yeah, allows more than one player, as it were. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I hate when that kind of thing happens. So that you more than one
Mhm.
place. But see, that's the reason. How about a skyscraper? You know, one person can't really build that.
No.
It takes a lot of people. It takes architects and engineers and municipals and traffic planners and all kinds of people to be involved with one of those things being successful.
Right.
And they all have to work together, and they all have to have a relationship. They all have to exchange information. Now, we deal with that on all kinds of levels. Okay, I was talking with Bree the other day about a website that she was designing, and it's like, you know, the only thing she needed was information, and once she had the information, she could do all the things that she needed to do. But until she had the information, there was nothing at all that she could accomplish. Nothing. Now,
Sure.
that's what a relationship's about, is that you have to have information that you can rely on, right? And once you have that, then you have a relationship. Now the depth of that information that you can rely on is the depth of that of the relationship, I think. So maybe.
Okay.
So, you know, that's the reason
Yeah, and
why.
again, that's not a good or bad thing. It just may be partly how it works. Yeah. Hmm.
No, it's not partly. It's how it works. It's not a partly thing. It's the way it works. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, John,
Yeah.
as usual, good to chat with you, and I will see you
Nice
soon.
to visit with you, sweetness. We'll see you later. Behave
All
yourself
right.
within
Uh,
certain
uh,
limits.
you're looking for an exchange of information, I
Yeah,
can tell. All
okay.
right. See
Perhaps
ya.
not. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
All right. Bye.